Hey Patriots, Rob Hersov here. So let's not waste any time. South Africa's getting played. The ANC have bet everything on BRICS, thinking Russia, China, India, and Brazil would back South Africa up against the USA. Not a single BRICS country has come to South Africa's defense. Not one. And why? Because BRICS was never a team. It was a business deal, and South Africa's the sucker. The ANC either don't see it, or they're getting paid off to keep quiet, which is more likely. They're good at that. When we look at this situation, let's look at facts. South Africa's trade deficit with BRICS is a nightmare. The ANC sold BRICS as the economic savior that would free South Africa from the evil Western powers. And the reality? Let's talk about China. South Africa runs an $11 billion annual trade deficit with China. We export raw materials and import high-value manufactured goods, meaning China gets richer while South Africa stays dependent on China. Let's talk about India. We have a $6 billion deficit with India. South Africa buys back its own refined oil at 20 times the price, while India rakes in billions. And Brazil's a minor trading partner, but still a net drain. Now let's get to Russia. Minimal trade because of logistics, but guess what? Even with Russia, South Africa imports more than it exports. And the bottom line is every BRICS country takes more from South Africa than South Africa gives. ANC have absolutely no clue, but they're probably being bribed. The US is the only major power giving South Africa a trade surplus. Meanwhile, the West, the same West that the ANC demonizes, gives South Africa an economic lifeline. South Africa enjoys a $4 billion trade surplus with the USA. American companies have $74 billion invested in South Africa, supporting over 400,000 jobs. And in total, US businesses in South Africa contribute 20% of our GDP. A fifth of all the money in this country is tied to the US economy. Let me say that again. 20% of South Africa's entire economy depends on the United States. And what does the ANC do? They pick a fight with Washington. Pure incompetence. They vote against America in every United Nations vote. The BRICS countries are not going to back South Africa against the USA. Why hasn't the big BRICS organization lifted a finger for South Africa? Because every single BRICS country has stronger ties with the USA than with us. China. The US is China's number one export market, consuming 60% of China's exports. They're in a trade war with the US, and the last thing they want is more trouble. Russia, too busy fighting a war in Ukraine and not winning, and crippled by sanctions. They can't afford to help South Africa. And India, as of the meetings today and yesterday with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, are strengthening their defense and economic ties with America, and they'd rather keep Washington happy. And Brazil, heavily dependent on the USA for agricultural exports. They've got zero interest in burning that bridge for South Africa. Nobody in BRICS is willing to jeopardize their American ties for South Africa. Wake up, ANC. BRICS is a financial sinkhole for South Africa. And meanwhile, the US and the West are the only ones keeping South Africa's economy afloat. The ANC's moronic anti-West rhetoric is fantasy. Their so-called allies in BRICS don't actually have South Africa or the ANC's backs. So why does the ANC continue deepening ties with BRICS when it's losing billions every year in each and every relationship with BRICS? If BRICS is such a great alliance, why did none of them stand up for South Africa when the US cut aid? Silence is deafening. How does the ANC justify sabotaging economic ties with the US, knowing full well that American businesses employ over 400,000 South Africans? Are ANC officials personally profiting from BRICS deals while the country suffers? So I'll tell you what's really happening. ANC leaders are either dangerously incompetent or deeply corrupt. South Africa's in freefall under the ANC. The ANC's BRICS fantasy is a scam, and the only people who are benefiting are China, India, Brazil, and Russia, not us. The US is about to be gone, and they won't come back. And BRICS is not going to save South Africa. So what happens next? Will South Africans finally wake up and hold the ANC accountable for this mess? Or will the voters keep falling for the lies, watching the economy collapse while BRICS drains us dry? I know where I stand. Where do you stand? Hi, I'm Rob Hersov. I've just recently launched this YouTube channel and gone on to X, and I'd be most grateful if you would like and subscribe. Just hit the button.